Hi, my name is Stephanie Stillo, and I'm a curator in the Rare Books and Special Collections Division, and I am delighted to welcome you to another segment of From the Vaults. So today we're going to talk about a humble book in the Aramont Library, but one that really tells a big story about color and lithography in the late 19th century and the role of artists and their creative process.
French writer André Gide wrote The Voyage of Urien in 1893 and enlisted post-impressionist artist Maurice Denis to create a series of lithographs to illustrate the text. Gide's deeply symbolist novel follows a group of companions as they travel through three unique and perplexing realms: the enchanted islands of sensual enticement, the languid, marshy waters of self-reflection, and eventually a stark Arctic expanse. To say the least, Denis had no small task in creating accompanying illustrations for such an ambitious text. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Denis' lithographs is something that would not seem at all strange to a 21st century viewer. They were in color. For centuries, graphic artists conceived of prints as black and white. While there are notable and important exceptions to this, there was a long-standing belief that prints that included either hand or print coloring were somehow less print-like. There are several historical circumstances that caused 19th century artists to reevaluate traditional attitudes towards print and color. One of the major influences came from thousands of miles away, in Japan. Japanese shipping ports were forcibly reopened to trade with Western countries in the mid-19th century. The result was an almost frantic enthusiasm for Japanese manufactured goods in Europe, including objects such as fans, kimonos, lacquerware, and silks. European artists were particularly interested in Japanese woodblock prints, such as these prints from Japanese artist Hishikawa Sore, printed in 1804. As you can see, Sore's prints employed bright colors, flat, bold lines, and two-dimensional figures, refreshingly different for artists looking for inspiration beyond traditional European styles taught in academies of the period. In addition to the Japanese prints, the perfection of color lithography in the 19th century initiated a tidal wave of colorful posters, advertising everything from experimental theater to perfume and lamp oil, many composed by established artists such as Toulouse-Lautrec and William Bradley. The popularity of lithography and advertising initiated an intense debate about how, or even if, artists should employ color in their prints. In his hallmark defense of color lithography, art commentator André Gide argued that too much color could make a print look too commercial and thus lose its status as an art print. Too little color could jeopardize the harmony of the line and overall composition envisioned by the artist. From the beginning of his collaboration with Gide, Denis challenged tradition and incorporated color into his illustrations for The Voyage of Urien. Denis employed a minimalist palette, utilizing muted but very purposeful color to delineate the transition from the shores of one unique realm to the next. For example, the warm ochre that guides the travelers through the tropical islands of temptation and consequence eventually give way to the search for meaning in the cold blue of a vast and lonely Arctic. It is safe to say that Malario would have heartily approved of Denis' well-ordered and restrained use of color lithographs. The relative conservatism of Malario eased in the 20th century when bright colors became the central anchor for many printmakers. However, notable modern artists such as Henri Matisse, André Gide, and Georges Rouault, all of which employed beautiful and boisterous colors in their graphic works, owe no small debt to the pioneering efforts of 19th century artists such as Maurice Denis.